Good morning, cousins. Um, I don't own the rights to the music playing in the background, but it's a vibe. It's about. I'm gonna start this message off different. You know, I am not. What you may not know about me is I'm not just surface level. I'm a deep thinker, and um, I know y'all like to tussle about certain things, right? At first, when I started High Elevation was a platform to talk about um, things that make you squirmish, avoidable conversations, right? Taboo topics, like stuff people just don't want to address, don't want to talk about. They shun it. Oh, they'll bash you. They'll talk down on you if you talk about or discuss anything that makes people uncomfortable. Oh my God, did she really say that? And one thing I noticed that God made me unorthodox. Love it here, right? And I battle within myself a lot of the times because I'm like, I don't, I find myself like catching myself because I'm a very candid person, straightforward, don't hold no punches, straight motherfucking, you know. I'm gonna try to keep the cussing to a minimum, but y'all know my mouth is crazy. But I want to get the point across. Um, and because I am so raw, people tend to they'll exile me before they even hear anything I have to say, right? And I get it. I know I'm not for everybody. I'm okay with that. I've been okay with that for years. I am who I am. God made me this way. I'm his creation, right? Boom. Moving forward. We could agree to disagree. I don't agree with everything that everybody do. I don't agree with a lot of the ways we were raised, the a lot of things we were raised on. Some of that stuff is lies. It's all lies. And I'm a truth seeker. Um, Whether it be through spirituality, Christianity, Islam. I take deep dives, right? I'm not afraid of the unknown. I want to know. Like, when you're the type of person been lied to your entire life by people that were supposed to tell you the truth, you tend to go seek second opinions. And I am that. I take deep dives as a water sign and as a Scorpio. To get my attention, to keep my attention, you must first stimulate me mentally. So I tend to do that for myself. So I'm cool in that area, right? But I like to stimulate me. I like to read. I like to write. I like to investigate. I like to do just different shit that, people don't do. Whatever. Nowadays, anyway. So I know I'm a little different, right? So I do want to start by saying this. I made a few statements. Um, no, rewind. I want to say this. Um, Before I get started, what I'm about to discuss with you, if you Christian, this gonna have you squirmish. This gonna have you judgy. Because y'all tend to do that. It's why you whispering about me, gossiping. You know how y'all do. And I'm okay with that. I want you to tussle with me in the comments. Come. You're welcome. I am welcoming the tussle, right? Because I need answers. Period. I need answers. And that's just what it is. And because this topic is going to piss a few of y'all off, I want to start by saying, let's get right into it. I made a few statements a while back, right? Um, as I'm finding my way, as I'm elevating, as I'm learning, I'm growing. I made a few statements about King James, right? I'm like, oh, he was a witchcraft. He was woo woo woo. I said he was into witchcraft, black magic. I said he was bisexual. And I also said that he wrote the Bible, right? King James Version. Because this is what I was taught growing up, right? Heard little rumors growing up about him being bisexual. I heard little rumors about him implicating witchery and spells into the Bible. Like Psalms is supposed to be, right? You know, you know. We ain't even gonna get into that right now. This ain't about that. So I could admit when I'm wrong. So let's clarify this up, right? I want to first apologize because he was not into black magic. Matter of fact, he hated it. He was completely against it, right? Um, so that's one. He wasn't into that. He completely was against it. Two, he was against same sex. You know, he wasn't with none of that. LBGT, none of that, right? In the face of the community, in the face of his kingdom, he wasn't, but he was fighting against cruel. He was fighting for because they were really cruel to people that they found out was like same sex. So he was fighting against the cruelty of those punishments, right? But behind closed doors, he was in fact, okay, in fact, he was keeping bed with his male favorites. Biblical time, right? This is what they called them, male favorites. His male favorite was Robert Carr and the Duke of, I believe, is Buckingham. You can clarify this information, baby. Same way you read it in the Bible and stuff, you can go ahead and look it up if you don't believe me. The man was homosexual. But in those times, you had to marry a woman. You had to have a family. And because he was the king, he had to save face. But that man showed other men, he would kiss them in public, hug on them, that affection like you would your significant other. So indeed, he was homosexual. Did he write the Bible? He did not write the Bible. King James approved the rewrite. He approved it to be, basically the rewrite, period. He didn't write it. He just, because he was king at the time, he had to sign off on the translation of it, the new translation of it, basically, right? Let me see. Okay. So, with that being said, make sure I didn't miss that because I had to write down some notes. So with that being said, right, I could admit when I'm wrong, but I got answers. So the gay thing started way back in the day. They didn't say you can't be gay, that you could be gay and not be of God. That's just not a thing. What you like is what you like, right? But how do you go, how do you follow that at this point, knowing he was homosexual? So that's the first thing. I really need y'all to answer that for me. I don't want to be led to damnation because in the Bible, that is abomination. So yeah, I need y'all to answer that for me. I mean, in the comments, let's tussle a little bit, clear some things up, because y'all quick to judge, but y'all not quick to do your research and know what you're worshiping and know what you're praising and know what you're reading. And because the way you interpret the Bible is not the way it's supposed to be interpreted. And I'm gonna, over these few weeks, so over the few weeks, we gonna get into it. I'm gonna break down a lot of things, and this is for people that don't know. If you know, this ain't for you, clearly. I'm talking to my people that don't want to be in the matrix, that want to wake up. They want to know the truth. They don't want to live in the biblical times of their grandparents and great-grands and all of that. I need the truth. I can't just live a lie. I ain't going to go with the fucking crowd. Forgive me for cussing, because I'm trying to get a point across here, right? Boom. Then we get straight into it. A lot of Christians, a lot of people, courts, anybody, they deem SA, if you know what SA is, SA as wrong, right? Y'all quick to put pedophile pictures up on the internet. Oh, this person did this, and y'all don't know who in your neighborhood, right? But you, in your Bible, you go to church, right? And you're like, marry this and marry that and marry woo woo woo. You're hypocrites. You're absolutely hypocrites. And here's why. Here's why. Mary, my loves, go with me, was a virgin. Guess what that means? Come on. We gonna say it together. She was a child. That was a kid. Look it up. You can get this information the same way you read your Bible. The way you look it in there. See, the Bible doesn't state ages. But in biblical times, in the Roman times, right, the Jewish times, this was considered normal. Joseph was in his late 20s. Mary was between the ages of 12 and 16 years old. So if you don't support pedophiles, and how are you going with the Mary story? How are we going with this Mary fairy tale? Now, the truth of the matter is, first of all, Joseph was in fact an older, wiser. How did they label him? Let's see. How did they label Joseph? Old and wiser. He wasn't a child. Back then, you were married material by the time you hit puberty. So puberty basically today is what? 15, 16, not grown. She was a virgin because she had not had sex yet, because she was a child. They named it, how do you say it? What was she to Joseph? I can't think of the word right now, right? But she wasn't. So she was, betrothed to Joseph, meaning engaged. But she was never married to Joseph. But this is what they came out and said, right? She also said she was also claiming divine conception, where she claimed to had this baby without having sex. In fact, she was having sex with Joseph out of wedlock. Let's go with it. Yeah. And she took the social risk of going out there and spreading the lies. They bashed Mary for this, but they won't tell you this in the Bible. You got to go searching for the answer. So I chose to go down the rabbit hole, family. Cousins. I went down a rabbit hole. I need answers. My Christian folks, y'all know everything else. I need you to tell me what we doing. What we doing? Now, I could agree to disagree. And I'm not boo-boo the fool, baby. But if we go right is right, wrong is wrong. Now, Joseph was a pedophile. Mary was a child. But y'all go with it. Can't do that. But hey, we'll see. We'll see what answers y'all come up with. Y'all got to answer for everything. Have a good one.